Hi everyone. Thanks for being here already. Hey Sylvie, hey Soy del Piero, hey Dave, hey Paul. Good to see you guys. I honestly have to say it's always kind of a funny atmosphere when you go live because because no one is there. You just read the text. You just have to get used to this, or I just have to get used to this. Even after all these, month starting in January. But the more I talk, hey Nashi, how are you? Hey Manaberry, great to see you guys here. So let me just quickly read through the chat. Emmy and Dave, yeah, going to do some damage too tonight. Not tonight, but tomorrow. So I actually want to say that right away in the beginning. And Paul, I didn't do a live stream this morning. This was just a recorded video, so you don't see any chat going on or anything. But I will do so. Just this is the program for you guys for this week. So today we will introduce the emotional. Let's call it the emotional string series because you're counting up all the time. Emotional violin, the emotional viola, and the emotional cello by Best Service. We will talk about this today. We will have a walkthrough through my demo. You already see that here, somewhere in that tiny screen up here. We will talk about this for a second. Tomorrow we will talk about Damage 2 by Heaviosity, which has been released today. Wednesday, we actually started writing the promised cue, or the cue I promised last stream about using BBC Symphonic Orchestra by Spitfire Audio and start writing our, let's say, John Williams-ish cue. I could still, kind of getting nervous when I say this. I don't want to make this like a John Williams track, but this Anderton's Great Escape by Minority Report is just one of my favorite cues by John Williams. So let's say we do some kind of action chase stuff. Hey Georg, hey Siloe, nice to see you guys. Hey Eve, hey Steve, and Sergey Puffkin. I hope I pronounced that right. Hey, great to see you guys. Hey Nigel. So hope you guys doing great. And we have a follow. Distress lol. Thanks for following. Thanks for being here. Hey Mr. E-Pain. So cool. We already have 30 people in the room. Let me just quickly, I'm always, kind of curious about this. So we have 17 people watching from YouTube and 18 from YouTube and 13 watching from Twitch. Hey, yeah, York, how are you? Heiko, how are you? Yeah, no dice. Guys, it's just when my brain wants to say, or when my mouth wants to say something and my brain didn't finish processing it. It's like it's a little bit slow when rendering final production stems. There is always some kind of a little glitch happening. Also, I think I changed. No, not I think. I changed some streaming. Settings. So we're not streaming in 60 FPS. So if I wave like crazy, you don't see me that fluent or that, kind of. Well, you still see me moving without having a dia show or something. But I just reduced to 30 frames because we are not really playing games that often currently. And it would make sense if we would stream Warzone, but I had a chat with someone, and also you guys mentioned that you had some kind of performance problems happening with my stream. So it was just a few of you guys, but I just want to make sure. Look there, it happened again. That's when I just move fast. That something is looking a little bit not like, I hope for the day when they have like 1080p and 60 frames streams possible without being able to watch it on a mobile phone. I also reduced the bitrate, so I'm not that wasting on bandwidth, saving some energy for the planet. And yeah, so this is what's happening. Okay, so I would say let's just jump to my other screen here and hop over. And I will just start playing. Oh, so right, before I forget to mention this, we have like this little banner down here. And before we start, I definitely have to thank Wolfgang from Best Service, first of all, for making this all happening and possible, and to giving me the opportunity to write a demo and doing this live stream, and also the team at Harmonic Subtones, but also for all the promoting that was happening that is happening on the Best Service website. So it was kind of a little bit, kind of exciting, and it's making me nervous by checking the Best Service website, and the banner at the front page it said that I'm having this stream tonight. So I see like people popping in. Hey, Dragons Music, how are you? EP, nice to see you here. So I would just start and writing and playing back the demo for you guys. Just have to turn down my phone. Okay, and so I'm not going to say anything. You just probably or maybe seen my video I also uploaded to YouTube about my demo track Presto Pesto, or was it Pesto Presto? I don't remember. So I'm good at forgetting things. So right. So that's what I wanted to say when I just pointing down like a crazy guy. You have that banner, or you hopefully see that banner down here. So if you want to visit, so we don't have to type in, actually, let me just type it once, because I almost forgot to mention this, which I wanted to do. I mean, not to forget mentioning this, but putting the giveaway right into this. So Best Service was not just so kind to do all that promotion stuff and giving me the opportunity to do the live stream and to write a demo. You can also win the library. So let's just quickly, sorry, before we start, let me just quickly go through this so you guys fully understand it. It's actually not that difficult, but it's called Pesto Presto, right? So you can we will pick 3 winners at the end of the giveaway, and it will end in 6 days. So to be precise, I think I put it, you can see it exactly when it runs out. Actually, I wrote it up here. August 9th this year at 11 p.m. So the second when it switches to August 10th, then the giveaway will end. And you can win. So we will pick 3 winners, and you can win either the emotional violin, the viola, or the emotional cello. So there is no second, first, or third place. I mean, depending if you see, classical strings on some kind of, what is your favorite instrument? And hopefully the viola is not the last on that list. But that makes it heavy, because then either the cello and the violin would be down there. But anyway, so all we are just asking is you have to hop over to the Best Service website and register so the giveaway can be registered to you. So this is what you have to do first. The next thing, and this is just, if when I did like giveaways before, we had like a competition system, with points and sharing this. So it was more of a viral giveaway. But this time, all we're asking for is to hop down here and visit our YouTube channel, visit my Twitch channel. It doesn't matter if you follow us. It doesn't matter if you just, like a video or, add a comment. But just keep in mind that if you do so, in case you didn't subscribe to our channels, we would be really happy if you do, if you leave a comment or a like. And this always helps to push the channel a little bit, and lets us get close. Actually, let's me come close to like 10,000 subscribers, because I recently hit like the 8,000 subscriber limit. So it's kind of growing, and this enables me to do more things in the future. And the next thing would be that you simply sign up with your first name and your email, and that you agree to the official rules because of GDPR, blah, blah, blah. And, we are not doing, we are not abusing email addresses anyway. So the worst that can happen is that you receive like a weekly email from you. Maybe once in a while you receive an offer from Best Service, or you receive like a weekly email from you, but most of this is just helpful tips, or an update of upcoming YouTube videos. Okay, so I will post that link to the giveaway. I just had to change this because we were streaming to Twitch all the time only, and it was kind of difficult. Because now we're streaming to YouTube also, but then everybody over at YouTube would be like, if I do like an internal Twitch giveaway. So I just wanted to make it switch it back to like an email giveaway, but without doing the points and all these things. Hey Rick, nice to see you here. Great that you're here. You want your email to be abused. Okay, so don't tell me. You will get like an extra portion of like 3 newsletters per week on extra. Hey Sam, how are you? Thanks for being here. Timothy. No, you didn't miss that much. So as I mentioned right in the beginning, you see that banner down here, so you get the address to hop over to Best Service, and you also see the link. Unfortunately, can't copy from the screen. I should be coming up with some kind of a QR code or anything, but I mean, it's just not that many letters, so you can just type it, or frequently I will just post it in here. So I would say I will just play you my demo. It's not really that long, but there is quite some stuff going on, so it took a while to get this done, but let's listen to what I did here. Supernap, thanks so much for resubscribing for 3 months. Thank you so much, man. And Rick, thanks for following. So let's just talk about Antonio Pfeffer or Alex Vivaldi. Yes, I felt like, after all these, this trailer music and this action music and adventure and battles and all these calls, hey Alex, could you just write some more game music for us? We just need to having some bones to be broken and some blood to be shed. I was so happy to just write something in this kind of style, and I just tried something like this. To be honest, the music itself is not like that difficult. I think it's just a matter of making reuse of all these little, let's say, hook lines or patterns and rewriting them into something else. So I would just go on. How do we do this? So I would just love to introduce each of these instruments and what I did for each of these tracks here. So let me just pull up the first violin, and let's try to come up with a good way so you can see, there's my big head in the way always. So we try to make it like this. So I will just play you the first violin. And then we talk about the instrument later, because I just wanted to, if you know me, just remind me what I want to say about key switches. But it will, the ending will, the story will have a positive ending. So that's what I wanted to say. So let me just play you the first violin here. So as you can see at the ending, there is a lot of stuff going on with the key switches, especially in this section here. Well, actually, it's all the same. But no, actually not. There's, yeah, just, I should make this a little bit smaller, but I think you can see this all right. So there's a lot of stuff going on in the middle section with the key switches. Let's just play each of these instruments one by one here. So I actually just loaded the same violin again, and because it played... Anonymous, thank you so much for your tip. Thank you so much. So let me just hop over to the second violin. So as I said, let me just compare these two tracks here. So basically, it's always, I think I kind of crossed here. So it's not like real violin 1 or violin 2. Why did I do this? I don't know, because it felt like writing this that way. I could, be expressive as an artist and saying, I just wanted to swap, I just wanted to do some dimensional chase. So from one violin hopping over to the other one, but I don't, it's like, it's a bullshit. I just wrote it that way and it just felt okay. So I just kind of crossed these. So let me just play you the second violin, which is actually the same program. The same patches, but different articulations and so on, and just the other voice. So let's just go here. Where are you? Yeah, it may not be, like I don't know if it would be like some kind of, legit string arrangement or anything, but I just went with it, and what I thought would sound great, and ended up with this. So let's take a look at the viola. Let me load this here. There are also lots of key switches going on. But we will get to that in a minute. So let me just play what I did with a viola. And actually, there is not that many key switches happening, but that also makes sense. only one at the end. Let's hop over to the cello. And I just want to mention one thing in between, that I didn't do any processing on this. I mean, there is some, we go through that all. There is just a little bit of compression going. Hey, Chris, nice to see you here. I hope we hang out in a, get together soon again. Thanks for being here. What I was about to say, so I didn't do that much, processing. The only thing I did was a little bit of some compression at the very end to just toast it in a little bit, and some soft limiting to not, prevent the file from clipping. But that's it. There is no reverb. I think a tiny dip of EQ, but I would have to check. We will check that anyway. So there's nothing going on. No room simulation, no external fancy schmancy reverb or whatever. It's just all happening in the library, and this is the only thing you hear. So let me just play the cello for you. Very busy. Yep, that's it. So you also see a bass, but we never talked about a bass. So what I did, I couldn't resist. Actually, I had a conversation with one of the developers. We had a little a Skype session that was very cool, and I was thinking about that. I wanted to introduce some kind of, like a bass to have a little bit of more, spectrum available. And he said, why don't you just tune down the cello by 1 octave? And then I was like, yes, sounds cool. So this is what I did. Let me just pull that up here and play you the track. Yeah, so that's a bass, basically like a tuned down cello. I could have used the original notes, down to from the starting at the beginning, but then I would just try to, come up with some complicated stuff about what to write in real time or to play in real time and what to pitch down and so on. So I just pitched it all down, disregarding if it's like a note from a higher octave. Yeah, Sam, thanks. Interesting bass track on top, violin track on bottom. You begin with bass writing. I would think that it was just happening because I did that back then when I had no clue. That was just hitting like the E bass as a drone and then coming up with some chords. Of course, I do that still sometimes, but it's probably started like this. So this way I have all it's not like the typical score or the sheet setup you would have, like bass on the bottom and then violins on top and violins at the very bottom, I think, and then you have like woodwinds and brass. So I totally work my way down from strings, from the lowest strings to the highest strings, then it's always brass for me, low to high. And then it's always woodwinds, low to high, and all the percussion and additional stuff. Let me just actually read through some of the comments here. Emotional cello and violin are superb for classical and are better or more realistic than other VSTs. Well, to me, it always depends, but I have to say that the emotional cello, the emotional strings in general sound very realistic. So these will definitely end up, in my template as being not just the solo instrument, but also to bring more life and soul to an entire section. When you just try to meld it into the entire ensemble. So, yeah, the keyboard switch split says half of the keyboard is key switches and half is note. That is definitely. It was you, Eve. So I'm just reading that down. You are anonymous. Now we know who anonymous is. You just. Yeah, ACDC Thunderstruck. That would be awesome. But I think it exists already, so I could have done this, but I think there is I don't know what the name of the group is or something, but there is a Thunderstruck version of it, like a quartet version. So what instrument do we start with? I think let's just start with a violin because I wrote from bottom to top. Let's just start with a violin. And as I already announced in the beginning, and this little story will end positive, of course, but to be really honest, the first time I opened this GUI, I was like, holy shit, that many key switches. And if you guys know me, I'm somebody who really likes to work with lots. I prefer more tracks than key switches. But first it makes total sense, and I think I mentioned that before. Just hit me if I'm wrong, but I think I mentioned it before that on solo instruments it makes, of course, a lot of sense because you can't layer sustain Mikado samples or spiccato samples on top to create a more realism. If you double a solo instrument, you will definitely hear what is going on. You will get phasing issues and all these things, but. What is really, or not just phasing issues, but you will hear that it's more like one. If you have an entire string section of, let's say, 14 strings, nobody hears if you have a marcato sample or a spiccato sample snuck in between somewhere. So I was just, at first I was like, man, this is crazy. So many articulations, and how would I, do music with it? But the cool thing about this is when you just load whatever section right here. So leave the demo aside for a second, and we just change to something like delicate vibrato, and you're just playing. You don't need to do anything. So this is not just articulations to make this thing work. You can just pick something and play entire sections with it. So I use these Paganini runs. Let's try some more here. Let's just go from top to bottom. So we have spiccato samples, and let me guys know if I just have to mute my microphone because you probably hear the slamming of the keys. Sam, to be honest, never ask me what is CPU expensive. Because I just, like a 6 month ago, I invested in a new machine, and you can see my meter up here if you're interested. But let's just play back the demo for a second here. But So there is not me. I mean, it sounds kind of, you know, arrogant. Look at my machine. But it's, I just want to say, you know, I'm sorry. I can't really compare this to older machines and if it's CPU intensive or not. But I mean, if something is CPU intensive, just always make sure that you put your buffer size to like 512 or 1024. I know it adds more latency, but it definitely resolves a lot of stuff. And if just get some kind of decent SSDs, if possible, you know, there's so much. The CPU is bored. Hey, Fabian. Yeah, it's kind of is. You know, I just had like a recent test with like throwing in as much stuff, plus including me throwing on my keyboard and hammering around on it. And then the CPU was like, okay, so let's have a round of Warzone next to it, next doing your chaos. So it was kind of, so I stopped doing this in awe. So I stopped trying to testing my 18 core PC here. But of course, I mean, of course, if you have, it depends. If you have like one channel and you have very resource intensive CPUs, insert plugins on one channel, of course, this is all 3 gigahertz CPUs. So they will go down sooner or later if something like this, oops, if something like this happens. But as for the instrument, it's not you're using like 10 or 20 of them and, you know, write like a whatever 16 voiced arrangement or something. You probably use 2 or 3 of these or all of these in your session, so you most likely have like 4 or 5 instruments going on at the same time. Eve, my is currently is an Intel. It's the 10980 or something. I don't know. It's like the 18 core, 3 gigahertz. So let's just go through. We started at Spiccato. So this is funny because you can have crossfades. You can additionally control the volume on the spiccatos. So just in case if you came up with something and you think you had like a little section was a little bit too loud, but the articulations were perfect, you can just... Hope you can see that okay, that I'm moving my mod wheel here. So we have the Paganini Staccato. Okay, Pizzicato. Very fast spiccato. I think I used that a lot, especially for these. So this is something we'd use with, you know, Flight of the Bumblebee or something, but I can't play this. So, and unfortunately I wrote this demo, so I couldn't just demonstrate this to you. Slow and passionate. So this is one of these articulations you can just... I hit an F sharp. No, I hit an F. A low F. So you have like the portamento effect going when you hit the velocity very soft. And at this point, I think it would be also cool to explain the ornament key switches over here, because they are very interesting. And this is really cool. I've never seen this before. So you have like a rebow. I mean, sometimes you have the rebow going. And I really love when this happens naturally, because this is like, typically if you have like a violin player and he's playing, of course, some let's say the rebows would be, let's say, processed or calculated by the player. So you would do the rebows exactly where you want it, but sometimes it's just not possible. So you have them happening randomly somewhere at some point, I think. I'm not really sure if it's like, let me just, you can't hear the click, I know. It's not happening directly on click, but sometimes it's cool to have all this, how Dragon's music put it, like all this stuff. How did you say that? I just wanted to say that, how you put this, what the expression was when you heard this. It's like schmuddling or something. What was it? The schrubbling, right? The gritty schrubbling. I really love that. So, okay, now the ornament key switches. This is really cool. So when you play something and you hit the, let me just find the note, what it is. Okay, so we have these down here. We have these at C2, C sharp 2, and so on the rebow 1, 2. And what it does, if when I play, oh, I changed this. We were slow passionate here. So when I hit this while playing the note, okay, so I'm holding the note and I hit C2 right now. So you can define the rebow, and this works whatever you are playing up here. So this is so cool because it changes that articulation. And if you hold the key down, the C2, you hold down the C2, and then you play a note, you have it starting right away with that ornament. So if I hold down C2 and I hit one note, it starts right away with a rebowing. So let's just go through these ornaments because this is so cool. You could sit here for hours and just play something. Then let's hit D2 for espressivo. Oh, sorry, I just... Why did I jump? Oh, Alex. So the note ends basically on this espressivo. Next would be the vibrato to vibrato. E would be vibrato, vibrato, late. Because this so many times happens with libraries that you play something and you wish the vibrato would come later, or there is too much going and then you have it emulated. And of course, some libraries can do this in a really great way, but it's always a problem, I think, with having solo instruments and doing these transitions from one sample to the other. And that's why the harmonic subtones team decided to you know, transition from one sample to the other in a very elegant way. So what did we have right now? So to vibrato late, vibrato. Why can't I say vibrato? Let's play a fall with F2. So if of course I have to release the key once it's done. Okay, so you can stop it. If I just play the note again, or the ornament from the beginning, and just hit a key, you just hear the fall. Yes, vibrato. So, exactly. So we have a rise on F sharp. This is so cool. So we continued these on C#6. So I just have to make sure I hit the right note. So let me move up an octave here. So what is it? D, C#6 to crescendo. To short crescendo. And then we have soft end. And to, oops. So I always forget to release the key to the, I mean, usually you would, if you play this, you would spend, or you definitely have to spend some time with tweaking, you know, all of these things in your arrangement. So it's not like playing it and you're ready to go. It needs a little bit of attention, but the results are really awesome. So what was next? We had to short crescendo, to soft end, to delicate ending. To sul ponti, sorry. And to halftone thrill. So I think we should give the note a little bit of time. I mean, sometimes you hear it a little bit, but I mean, come on, we are just talking a sample library. So these transitions you probably don't hear when you have a full arrangement. We already had like, where are we? Halftone thrill, F#6, and then we have whole tone thrill. It also probably sounds different when we're using a different articulation and not slow and passionate. But I thought I would go through the entire ornament keys, which is because they make so much sense. So we have to tremolo, sustain. To tremolo crescendo. Oops. And tremolo sforzando. And harmonic short. So this is so cool. Sometimes I'm apologize, because of the light in front of me. It's quite, bright. So this sometimes makes it a little bit difficult to read. And I'm getting old, of course, So let's check out the passionate agile or agile. I was just randomly hitting something. You could make a game out of this. How does this end? We have delicate vibrato. So there is basically no, how do you say it? This library doesn't leave any wish unfulfilled, kind of. Then we have straight. This sounds so nice. I think this is probably the first library where it comes to my mind. And I mean, of course, Isaac Perman has like this unbelievable expression. But if you play the main theme of Schindler's List with this library, I think it sounds a little bit off when I say that, but I think it would totally rock this main theme. I mean, you know how I get it. I don't want to make fun of this. It's a very, tragic thing, a very sad piece. But this library would definitely, it would definitely sound very awesome played with that library. No, I don't remember it, how it goes, but... No, I don't want to, kind of get into another blasphemic moment here by ruining that awesome track. So we have pickup to détaché. Double attack, that's what I was using at the very end. And we have marcato. So you can even play this marcato with legato. You can even play portamento marcato. Is there some marcapento or something? I don't know if it's a... Next would be vivid. This would be something for, how do you say this? Lascia Cupanga or something? It would be probably very cool with that. Very awesome track. Track. You can't say track to this. This is a masterpiece. You can't say, hey, you wrote an awesome track. You had some rocking voice on that. Some Paganini run. Sustain, vibrato, and probably X-fade. And sustain, non-vibrato, X-fade. So let's see how this sounds when we hit 2 vibrato here with that. Awesome. Ah, so cool. It's definitely an emotional violin. So it would, of course, at this point, you would have to switch to another articulation. And the funny thing is, it sounds, when I play fast, or at least I try to play fast, it always sounds kind of authentic. Okay, next would be Bright Decrescendo. I really wish Kontakt would have a scalable GUI, something that you can just, where's the problem with doing this? I wish also Kontakt would have the option to just, if you installed a library or you have like a new computer and you bring all your libraries back, that you just say, look, there is my library, and then it loads all the time. It doesn't matter if you open 500 old sessions or you just install your library. It would be great to tell Kontakt, look, there is my library, there it is on my drive. Whenever I open a session, it doesn't matter if it's like 5 years old or if it would be, even if it would be like 3 days in the future, it doesn't matter. I always want to have Kontakt, know where my stuff is, but I mean, just some side rant. Gentle motion. It's awesome how you can sound like a classical musician by just putting in a half note and then just trying like to think like, oh fuck, where do I end? And just hit another one, It kind of works. It's a little bit like jazz, even so like classical musicians don't like jazz because you can play like all these wrong notes on purpose. But it's actually the same in classical music. You just have to be in key more and then eventually hit like a wrong note, but it works the same way. I'm just kidding, but... This is very expressive. I'm just seeing something. No, it's just... Oh, okay, it just mentions... So I just want to make sure that you guys understand that I'm not trying to be the walking manual here, the Flash Become manual. For my demo, I just tried, oh, this works. And I just focused in that little time I had to just write the demo instead of exploring this entire library on my own. So I wanted to keep that for the stream today, that we just, explore stuff together. Because if I just see all these things, like what is going on here? Of course, it makes sense. Bow change velocity, portamento velocity, but we also have like more sections up here when you go to the effects section, but we get later to that. So let's just finish this tremolo. Oh, portamento in between. This sounds cool. So we got like a Tremolo Mento or Portolo. I like Portolo. It seems to be like going seamlessly from one articulation in the other one. This is completely amazing. Okay, and you get the typical trills. I'm like, the typical trills, whole tone, half tone, and the developer is like, oh, we spent so much time developing this, and he's like, just doing it like those typical articulations everyone knows. How does it... I mean, you can fake a lot of stuff with that, with these things. So we went through the entire, let me just go through that. What was like, straight, let's go to delicate vibrato and just, find out. I just put that to the very... Oh, so it's probably the setting where the portamento starts below. So if I use... So it's probably like what's above this value. But as I said, if you really want to know, the best would be probably to check the manual. There is also, I think, a manual on the Best Service website available that you can download for free, as far as I remember. Oh, okay, so you can... Maybe there's no bow change. I broke it. I would definitely have to read this again. So we have the crossfade, dynamics, dynamic range. So let's hop over to the effects section here. So you can switch to Sordino. It's kind of weird sounding when it snaps back to... let me just quickly read through the chat here again. You just entered here for the copy of this. Just leave. No, just kidding. So thanks for being here, Ember Eyes. Yes, so yeah, Sam, as you said, the more important is expression and musicality we can obtain with these libraries, and it's a win. So I definitely no, I can't play some kind of an Irish tune with a violin. I mean, me personally, not right now, because I could just try to wildly hit some kind of mixolydian. If I would probably put it on my guitar, but then again, how do you play legato with your guitar? But I mean, it's after everything what I've heard right now, it should be definitely possible to treat this like a fiddle, you know, with all these articulations available. Yes, Ember Eyes, I did the breakdown of the demo at the very beginning, but we could do it later in between, you know, like the switching to another library, switching to the viola and the cello. And we just have to, what did I want to say? We just have to realize that we just spent probably about an hour just talking about the violin. So legato guitar, yes, this would be really interesting. Just trying to keeping the note on one note and then moving on to the next on the same string. But I mean, if you would just think about, let me just switch this back to normal. Sounds kind of nasty when you go. So the ear is some kind of stupid thing, you know, it gets used to things so quickly. If you, oh, let's play it with a G, so it's. Yes, you can fiddle around with it. So no, just try it, and probably after going through all these articulations, it should be probably possible to imitate or do like a fiddle sound with all these little thrills. Did I play these here with a violin? Not really sure right now. It was some kind of a thrill going on, but I think it was... because they're slightly different. There's also stuff like this going on for the viola and the cello that is not in the violins and vice versa. So let's just... Okay, so you can have different timbres. Let me just switch back to something. A bit of silk. So you got all kinds of stuff here. Let's check out a few. Dark. So you can quickly change, yeah, the timbre of your. Let's add some more silk. So you don't need to fiddle around with EQ if you think like, oh, my solo violin sounds a little bit too harsh, because this could easily happen. I mean, if you imagine you have like a sordino kind of a pad background, you want to have it just as a subtle instrument. You already mastered your track, but your violin sounds a little bit too harsh, so you can simply go back. Let's find something which is natural tamed. Yeah, agent, hey, fiddle around with it, pun intended, yes, or... The stuff in my brain comes out without me thinking about this. It's kind of amazing. Dark and roomy. And I mean, if you want, you can have some equalizer. We all know what equalizer is, so let's put in silk again. But you also can get rid of this. I love this. So let's turn off the room here and the reverb. Sounds even nice without. Let's turn on the room. Should probably... Let's use this one here. And let's pick something else, live performance. It sounds definitely a little bit clubbish. Scoring stage, large. Let's try this one. It's very nice. And reverb, and let's just try the reverb only. So I got that nice little soft tail at the very end to make it really cinematic. Okay, so I think you get the idea about this one. There's also an expert mode in here, so this is really cool. I think as far as I understood, this is some extra attack you can put to the sample. So just in case if you need some extra attack. So you save, let's say, you know, the procedure of loading in another instance, just in case if you really want to layer something with a little bit of attack, it just does it for you. So you can have like a very short or even a velocity attack. Let's just pull this up. So you can just dial in some subtle attack here. You can even go into micro tuning. You can trim the legato. You can have poly legato. So hey, Kim, would you book a string quartet for a final product? Or would you use, for example, this library? If I would use a library, it would probably be this. And I'm not saying this, you know, because of that live stream or this session has been kind of endorsed by or, you know, made possible by Best Service. But I mean, I'm honest about this. First of all, it would depend on the budget. If I would have a chance to record a string quartet, and it would be really something which would be audible in a track. So, for example, if the entire soundtrack or just one track of the let's say like this video game or whatever would be just a quartet, I would probably hire a real one if I would have the budget. But that doesn't mean that I wouldn't use this library. It's not just a budget question, it's also a matter of time. There are many elements, you know, to be considered, but this would definitely, I mean, if I just listen, I can just play the demo track once again, and I probably changed a few things right now here, so it made the sound slightly different. But if I would have a track like this in a game, by not... Let's just play the entire thing. So there was this little rebow at the end. So yes, I mean, I'm that confident to say if I would come up with a track like this for a movie scene or for a game, the producer would definitely say, yes, this sounds very authentic. We could use this. So without trying to be arrogant or anything, I would say I'm self-confident and convinced enough to offer this to a, whatever product it is, a film or a video game, or and the thing is, to be honest, I'm just demoing stuff that I feel it's worth being demoed, so I'm not if somebody asks me and to do a demo or to do a presentation and I don't like the library, I mean, I have to be fair here. There was a lot of going on during the last week, so just in case somebody contacted me and I hadn't had time to get back to you, just in case if you're watching, no offense, I will get back later or just remind me. But there was so much going on. But to make it short, I wouldn't talk about a crap library. So this is a solo strings library I'm definitely convinced of, and I would use this in my final music. So I hope that answers your question. I drifted a little bit off, but why are we not going through the viola for a second here and checking out some of these things here? Yeah, let's just. So let's start at the top with some spiccato here. Rota spiccato. Pizzicato. And as I mentioned before, there is no additional reverb or no additional. Let me just quickly check before I tell you bullcrap here. So there is no. Let me just quickly pull the mixer so you believe me. There is no additional stuff going on. So the only thing that is going on is a little bit of some compression, bus compression at the very end. So I just have a little bit of. I just had to pull it up a little bit, but because, let me just quickly play it again. So there is not really much happening. Maybe just like a dip down in like 0.5 degrees. So I just have it to like 60% because there is not much going in here. It's just a neutral thing, and I'm just trimming some of the higher frequencies a little bit. So consider it just a little bit of slight EQing. Sam Lowry, thanks for following. Thank you so much. The next thing I have is the invisible limiter. So there is also. I'm not really sure if this is true, like minus 70. This is why I hate key switches, because sometimes when you start a track in the middle, it plays the articulations from before. Yes, okay, so there's some dip down happening, but the limiting is still happening in kind of a manual, how do you say, like a decent manner. That's what I was looking for. Also, there's another plugin here. This doesn't need to be some kind of interest. It's just the plugin I need to send my Cubase audio to the stream to OBS. So let's open the viola again here. Yes, let me just share. Thank you for reminding me. Let me just share the link again to the stream here. So I wanted to do that from time to time anyway. So just in case if you know that watching my previous giveaways, there is no competition stuff or point stuff happening. I had my phase of trying this out, how it works. Of course, it's very efficient when you want to build your newsletter, your mailing list, for example. I have to say that, and we once in a while talk about business stuff, because I'm up for it, that each of you guys, just in case if you don't work, that you are able to build some passive income, and having a mailing list is very important. But anyway, so this time I'm just trying to have this giveaway not ending up in kind of like a hassle of sharing it to the outside world. If you want to share it, of course you can do that from the user interface, but you're not needed to get some points or anything. Hassan, thanks for being here. So you're watching instead of scoring your indie video game. It probably has some time, to be finished. So welcome. So Pizzicato, let's check fliegender Aufstrich. This is probably the only word I will be able. I actually used this in the demo, B1. Let me just check where B1 is. I used it from the very beginning, so I like this so much. Sometimes I didn't even know what the articulation was. And then I tried it on a line, which I eventually played with Spiccato. And then I changed it to this, to fliegender Aufstrich. I'm saying again because I'm German, so why not featuring your own language once in a while? And it just worked better. So I was fooling actually a lot around with the key switches and going from... I should also quickly show this. Probably went a little bit too fast here. On the violin, there's this one section where it changes articulations all the time. Let me just quickly pull that off so you can see what's going on here. It changes from... what is it? Changes from Paganini run to very fast spiccato. So you can hopefully see that all right here. So it's always for the... So it always goes for the Paganini run. So it is really cool to put some emphasis on some of the notes in the beginning, because when you hear like a violin player playing, there is always some, and then the other notes are a little bit shorter or something, but he tries to puts this emphasis on the first notes of this run, and this ends up in some kind of... Let's put it back here. It's like... So you have that little. So you put some accent on these notes. So this is what it's really great for. But I just wanted to switch back to the viola. Bone King, thanks so much for following. Oh, I totally skipped Phosphor Ruin. Thanks for following. How could I skip you? I didn't hear it, to be honest. So now next we have Delicate Phrased. Okay, so I probably turned this off here. Kim, if you listen to scores, do you prefer a hybrid epic orchestral or more kind of symphonic scoring like John Williams? To be honest, I prefer Meshuggah and Periphery. Oh my god, this is just like the most stupid answer. But seriously, I don't listen to much soundtrack or classical music. Maybe I do this to not fill my head too much, to get worried that I try to come up with something that is similar to another track. Of course, I can dig into... It totally depends. I mean, I have like, you know, let's say John Williams' Star Wars or Minority Report in my car, and on the next track I could listen to Hans Zimmer, Inception, you know, Collapsing of a Dream, and then on the next I have some Meshuggah or Periphery going on, so like more metal. But I totally don't care about the style of music as long as it moves me. And this is I just have to say this for a second because there are so many composers. They act too German. Let me clearly put it like this. They act too German. There's like, we have classic, we have epic orchestral, you know, and then we have everything else, everything other garbage down here. So, and I mean, I'm just exaggerating, but I think you get the idea what I'm trying to say here. Especially from all kinds of composers, they think too much in categories. They hear hip hop and they instantly go like, "Oh my god, hip hop! This is like the most stupid music of all stupid musics." And why is not everyone? Why don't we have classical music in clubs? Why don't we dance to Paganini? Because it would look pretty stupid to do so. You need hip hop. You need like that low pulsing bass. I love going in a club, in a club, and you have like these. I just love it. You can't play something sophisticated. I want to stop thinking about this. So I'm drifting off again here, but I don't like to put music into categories. There is only one thing that matters to me. Does it touch me, or does it trigger me or not? And this is the only thing I am looking for. I absolutely don't care how sophisticated something is or how easy something is. I can listen to vocal trance for an entire day if it's awesome, and I can put it easily over every John Williams track in that moment because we're emotional beings. And if I put myself in these categories, you know, it's like saying, yes, of course, I would like to have sex, but this week it's just on top. I'm always on top, or I always behind. I just, you know, it's kind of variety. You know what I'm trying to say? So, sorry, I'm coming back to this topic. But I mean, to be serious for a second here. I'm to be serious for a second. It always depends on what I'm trying to prepare for. So, of course, when we want to go on Wednesday writing with, you know, BBC Symphonic Orchestra and try to come up with kind of a chase scene in the style of Williams, and I will desperately fail in doing so. No, we will come up with something awesome. I know this, but I just want to make clear that I'm not trying to put myself on the same level as John Williams. I'm just trying to come up with something that matches the style and the vibe. Of course, I'm listening to more John Williams to a little bit of a preparation to get some kind of, you know, recognizable patterns in my brain again. But in general, I would just listen to everything. Sexual angst? No, not at all. Okay, so let's check out some more articulations here. Delicate sustain. Expressivo long. this. Progressive vibrato. Expressive Brahms. Brahms long. I'm not so sure about this, but hey Ruben, how are you? Thanks for being here. And Michael too. Hey, how are you guys? Arpeggio shorts round robin. So you just have to try some of these. You have to try some of these articulations exactly in your, let's say, in the environment of your session, of your project, what works. And the cool thing is that there are so many things combinable. So if I would probably play this rota vivid with... I'm just trying to do this. It doesn't work here, but... That doesn't work on everything, but as with the violin, when we went through especially the ornament key switches, it melted. You had so many articulations melting together that you can absolutely create your own stuff. So I wouldn't really pay attention to what it says here on the list, but just trying and finding out if it works, you know? So this works fine for an arpeggio, but it says sustained vibrato and was probably just done to go from the vibrato to the non-vibrato of this other patch here. But I'm just guessing. Now we have Kernig. Nordic long. Ruben, to answer your question, is this library easily programmable? I mean, of course, you can have the, as I said before, you have some articulations here, let's say Nordic variety. And I'm not doing anything except using the mod wheel, and I think it sounds pretty... Of course, if you want to change to something else, let's say to the Brahms long, you would have to use a key switch, and if you want to do something like my demo, which makes an extensive, or not really like that extensive, but lot of use of articulations. Of course, you have to use a little bit of key switches. So it's not just playing it live and then leaving it. But on the other hand, you get like a very realistic result. Hey, Epic Score, how are you? Why are you named like the company I've worked for? But you can buy some good German water. It's in the water. Okay, it just followed something that just have to, because why I'm drinking so, okay. Oh, German's so good at composing. Well, I take this as a compliment. Thank you so much. I don't know, actually. Maybe because we're just trying to be efficient. No, it's just that bullshit. I mean, if I think we know we have a lot of masters coming from German, but if you look, there are also a lot of brilliant people coming from Russia, coming from Italy, and there are a lot of brilliant American composers. So I think it's just like some kind of a, how do you say, like trick of the brain or some kind of selective cognition thing, only because you have Brahms, you have Mozart, you have Bach, you have these people coming, or German speaking or German composers, but there is, like I said, there is Vivaldi, there is Mussorgsky and Stravinsky and all these people. It's like all this big international crowd, but I think it's because Mozart and Bach probably got like the most famous, let's say, I don't know, most famous classical or popular classical composers. It's this impression that the Germans really rule, at least successfully. I shouldn't say this, but, like being, how do you say, where it's a great thing that they rule on something, like classical music. And I think this is just I think it's just like a brain thing, like a selective cognition. Why is Mozart a bad example? Yes, I mean, if you just, the thing is, I want to be honest here. I don't have an orchestral background, but I think I can't even hear completely right. I have a hearing loss on my right ear, and I don't want to bother you with any kind of stories. Yeah, I know he's Austrian, but that's what I also wanted to say. German speaking composers. So, but he's from that area around, so. It's like you're probably the German guy because you're picky about someone being from Germany or Austria. No, what I want to say is that I think it's worth so much when you just focus on the music itself and getting away sometimes from the music theory and try to. It's the same a little bit like mixing. When you try to mix a snare drum, I was doing this because I probably mostly talk because I did it. I went to forums. Let's use the example of strings, because we are at strings right away. There's a perfect example coming around. I was at some forum and there was some guy, I think it happened on BI Control like lots of years ago, and there was some guy saying, hey, look, I published my EQ curves for that string library because it sounds really great. And then I use this, this EQ curve on whatever string library, and it was all kind of weird bumps and gaps and everything. And after a while, I learned, or at least I think, that it's better to learn to know that you have EQ and that you can gain or reduce frequencies, and that you should get used to the sound itself and what an EQ can do, and then apply this EQ with depending on what you like or what you think sounds good. Of course, it's good to learn from that reference material, but I always have to laugh kind of when you buy a compressor or an EQ and it says rock snare. So are you talking about a DW, or is it like a, you know, a sonore snare, or is it 18 inches or 12 inches or 15? This is all the difference. So like if you compare it to cooking, if you have a pack of salt at home, you read on a forum somewhere, always put like 3 spoons of salt into your meal. So what is it, like a, you know, like a vegetarian meal for 8 people? Or is it a kind of like a burger for 2 and you're just trying to put salt into the mashed meat? This doesn't work for you. So I think it's always the best thing also to apply, to coming back to my initial thought, to apply this thinking to music. Just be able to analyze the instruments and just think about what you can do with the instruments, and not just going for, you know, what did Bach or what Mozart did. Just trying to come up with something you think it could sound great, you know, and explore as you go. I have to drink some more German water. So we were here. Xaras sforzando. So we don't have to hop through any articulation. I think you get the idea. No, we were here already. Nordic variety, fast lines, late vibrato. And fast line swelling vibrato. And at this time, just in case if you missed this, no Apollinaris. If you actually, this one is from Munich, I think. What is it? I mean, I'm not getting, you know, having any sponsoring. I think it's Adelholzner. I think it's from Munich. I want to pay your attention, or bring your attention to the ornaments again, because as I said before, you can re-trigger these. And let's try to come up with something of the lower ones. So you got this re-trigger of rebow, so you can just play a note, and when you hit this, you can trigger a rebow. Or rebow to end. Is it B1? So you can sneak over from whatever you're using here on the left side and sneak over to the right side and have like a specific ending, or let me just introduce these falls again. So I would have to, where are we here? Oh, you heard it already. So no. Yes, the rise, G sharp 5. Or to Dolce. We didn't have this with a violin. Or fast crescendo. Or let's say get dramatic, C sharp 6. This is cool. To tremolo, D sharp 6. Yeah, disco falls, disco fails. Yes. Okay, so I remember reading that if you compose for samples, take your samples into consideration to avoid poor sound. Yes, I have to agree with you. You can't do everything with sample libraries. Of course, you have to make sure that you always compose a little bit. Also, if you do not just compose with sample libraries, but also if you demo sample libraries, of course, you always have to make sure to compose a little bit into that direction. You would probably have a problem to come up with some very, epic sounding music with orchestral tools, Metropolis Arc 2, because it is focused on very calm and subtle instruments, or like Spitfire, what is it, Albion 5 or something, that where you just have the small and light stuff. So you always have to make sure that you are using the right library for the job. This is why it's important to have so many. And of course it could happen, and I don't mean this in a negative way, that you're trying to sneak in a library like this and it doesn't work in a queue, and that you pick another library and it works better. I don't know. This is all what happened. But what I know, I mean, it all depends on the job, on the gig, on the actual, maybe you need, maybe it's like a job where the guy says, the producer, I want a solo violin, but I want to sound it really sterile or always almost synth-like. I don't want any emotion. Then you say, okay, I probably can't use this library. But of course, it depends on you, what you make out of this library. So, but to be honest, this library, these emotional libraries, this emotional series is probably where you can transition all kinds of articulations into something else. I've never heard this before. This is also funny. You have this fast line swelling vibrato, and I feel people say, like, on Araya, for example, on Audio Imperia, well, there's this bump in the legato when it hits like a new note, but this bump is absolutely needed when you have like a fast line in an epic sounding track, because this is always, the legato transition is what always get blurred when you have like a full blown up track going. There are so many libraries out there. You play like a legato line, and at some point you really can't hear the transition. It sounds like if you just hit sustain notes one after the other. And when it comes to this library, this just reminded me of Araya, because it got like the same bump in the... And when you listen to real players, it happens very often then when they just go into another note, that you have like this little bump, because he's trying, or she's trying to put that expression onto the new note or put some emphasis on it. Of course, not always, but okay. So we have tremolo here. Hey Patrick, how are you? Ethan, hey, how are you? Okay, trills halftime. And trills halftime. Hold a half tone. I mean, I'm sorry. I'm not a football guy here, so no interest in having halftime or something. Okay, so that was the viola. I would say let's move over to the cello. And it's kind of a shame that we have to do all these instruments one after another. But what I really, really love about the cello is that... Oh, sorry, I just have to mention this once more. You got the same actions here. Like you can put it to sordino with just a push of a button. Let's use another So quickly turn it into a sordino. You can get rid of the timbre, having it more warm. It's amazing how this little, push of a button changes the entire sound. And we have, of course, the room, the reverb. And as I said, did I set this right now? I'm not really sure. I was busy like reading the comment, to be honest. But I was using, just to point that out once more, I wasn't using any kind of additional reverb or something. Let's move over to the cello. And these Spiccato frog articulations I really loved. A lot of cool stuff going on here. Staccato. Fast spiccato. Frog madness. Spiccato. So this is the cool thing. You don't have just one spiccato articulation. So it's kind of like all, I think they called it frog because the bow was jumping so much. At least this is how because this is typically what a lot of people always confuse. A spiccato is just actually when you just dip the bow, you know, not the bow, the string with a bow, just and let it jump and move it off again, whereas staccato stays on the bow, so you... Whereas spiccato is just like dipping over this. So I think they called it frog, or maybe better would be like this, because we are cello right now. Okay, so this is probably the reason why they called it frog. Pizzicato. Delicate. To be honest, at first I had, I think I was listening to this patch for the first time and I had something in mind that I would go something with the Ave Maria or something. I'm not really sure, but I can't even play it. Whatever, something like this. But then I decided against this and just, went with all that kind of hectic Vivaldi-ish stuff. Proud vibrato. Yeah, Ethan, we will just reading your comment, just entering the stream, and you missed most of the demoing. So at this point, let me just post the giveaway URL so you don't have to type it from, from that, what you can